And this is something that was always a saying that once you're in the system, you're always in the system.
Yeah, hey, let me tell you why they call me Mr. American Bacon. Cause I make that real good music, that feel good music, make you wanna stomp and dance, make you wanna clap your hands. It's the West Coast, man.
I mean, I've worked with people currently incarcerated who are nearing their release dates. And my sense is that the prison system does a little, but not a lot, to kind of prepare them. So they all say they have reentry programming, and they'll say, yes, it's a whole curriculum that we give them, life skills and all this stuff. If you really dig into it, it's pretty light touch, pretty superficial.
Probably the main thing that I find now is that people come out and they've got to get back employed again because they got bills to pay, fines to pay off, and they've got to maintain their home front. So that's the main thing, that most people come out, first thing they want to do is get a job.
I think that sometimes, in the prison, they do push you, but I think they feel like that a lot of people will come back. So I don't think that they really push you enough, to actually get back out into society and do what you need to do.
Because I got to feel them out. I got to break them out there. So sometimes these guys they've been maybe isolated from anybody that cares about them for 10, 15, 20 years.
I think also a lot of people have become estranged from their loved ones, especially if they've been incarcerated for more than 5 years. So their social networks are pretty thin. Chances are they don't really have anyone on the outside who's really helping them out, or is willing to be a safety net for them.
Most of the time people won't relate to you if they don't feel like you've been where they've been. So, and it's hard. I've seen people try to relate to people and they feel like you don't understand my struggle, you don't understand what I'm going through, so I really can't relate to you.
And then all of a sudden they're put back in society, and they don't really know how to relate to somebody that they haven't been around or locked up with. Every particular person that has a reentry is different. The most roadblocks that we find is the fact that people have a stigmatism for someone that's been arrested. They think that everybody's been arrested is a bad person, and that's not the case. Every situation is different.
Honestly, nobody really wants to hear your story.
Mm-hmm.
Once they label you, they don't want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't want to hear your story.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't really care why it happened. You have it now.
Well, the biggest roadblock, it's hard to identify the biggest one, but I would probably go with employment.
They come out and they're really determined, but then they kind of get discouraged as long as when they're out and they can't really get anywhere to work. How are you supposed to see your children and support your children if you can't have a job, you can't get a job, you're being profiled? It's hard. Me and another guy of mine, and he had just got out of prison. He had been in prison for like 20-some years, like he was fresh out. We went to a business and filled out some applications and kept calling. So we go in there one day, and the lady was like, well, did y'all fill out applications? We were like, yes, we have, and we've been calling. And she asked my friend what his name was, and she's like, okay. So she goes back and looks at these applications. Then she goes back to a further table in the back and picks up his application. So he was like, why was my application way back there? Was you looking through the application app? She was like, oh yeah, it was back there because you just got out of prison, right? So we just kind of put it back here in this stack. And I was like, wow. So I'm like, we've been calling whatever. She's like, well, we have special stacks for stuff. So we already knew then you weren't even gonna get hired because you're in the back of the room, that was kind of a unfortunate situation. He was a little, and it was kind of discouraging for him. And unfortunately, he didn't. I think he ended up going back to prison. All they see is what you put on that paper. And I'm gonna tell you, I had a couple guys that I know that I was in programs with, and they were like, yo, I don't even put on there that I have any charges. Because if I do, they won't even look at me. And then they end up getting hired, and they find out they got charges, and they fire them for not being truthful. But they was like, you wouldn't even hire me if you knew I had this charge.
There is a shortage of available housing. There is a short reentry program in, I want to say, Harrisonburg, which is the closest and does not have the capacity to help everybody.
In this area, in the area Allegheny County, Rock Ridge County, there are not transitional living facilities here. There are no day shelters or things like that. So it's very hard to place someone here. A lot of times I'll have to send people to Roanoke just to find housing. It's not very open around here for someone just getting out.
I really had a difficult time getting housing. I remember a couple times I had to stay in hotel. I don't want to say the bigger city, but a bigger city like Roanoke. You have more access to services and stuff. Around here you don't.
It would be, I think, extremely difficult for someone to re-enter, here in Rockbridge County without connections, knowledge, and a social network, a supportive social network.
I mean, my vision would be, first off, that we use prison less. So, if you've heard the saying, when all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? And if we're going to send people to prison, from day one, there should be a rehabilitative intent of our prisons, which is still not the case. I think the rhetoric is coming around that, we ought to probably get back to rehabilitation. For like the last 2 decades, it's been like, just punish them, just lock them, throw away the key, forget about it.
Once they figure out, a different plan for their life, I think they should get a second chance. Maybe people deserve second, third, fourth chances, but, you never know. I mean, if you've never been in that situation.
A lot of people who have spent a long time in prison are hopeful and realistic and ready, insofar as they have had access to opportunities to really examine themselves and come to a healthier place in life.
He's doing exceptionally well. He's got housing. I think he's actually got his driver's license back. That was one of the things he wanted to work on. He had some fines to pay off. He set up a payment plan to pay those off, and I think he got a car. He's going to college, taking courses there.
Many times, I felt discouraged as well, but I just had to keep going. For one, I got kids, and I got full custody of my oldest boy, so I can't just roll over and lay down. I have to keep going, and he looks at what I do, and if he sees, Dad is continuously striving, and he's going to do something, then that's going to make him want to do, So, yeah, at the end of the day, all that matters is what you make out of the situation.
Everybody could have someone close to them that could get locked up tomorrow and come out and be right in the situation that these people are in. So don't look down on those people. Give them a second chance and keep the door open for them. I think they'll make you a believer that people can change.
Yeah, like red and black. Hey, let me tell you why they call me Mr. American Bangin'. Cause I make that real good music, that feel good music. Make you wanna stomp and dance, make you wanna clap your hands. It's the West Coast, man. They call me the man, one man, all-American band. I make that real good music, feel good music. Make you wanna stomp and dance, make you wanna clap your hands. It's the West Coast, man. They call me the man, one man, all-American band.